You think you know who you are, a modern human and the only human left, but imagine this. You wake up not 50,000 years ago, but tonight, and the world suddenly reveals a secret your DNA has been hiding all along. You are not purely human. Inside you lives the memory of another species, an ancient people who walked like us, hunted like us, loved like us, and disappeared. Except for the silent trace they left inside your blood. Ghost humans, no bones, no faces, yet still living, inside millions of us today. And if science is right, they didn't just shape our evolution, they changed who survives, who thrives, and who we become next. So who were they? Why did they vanish? And what part of them is still inside you? Let's uncover the truth. For most of human history, we believed a simple story. We were the only humans. Every other species, Neanderthals, Denisovans, vanished long before the first cities rose, before pyramids touched the sky, before language blossomed into poetry and prayer. Then came the year that shattered that story, a quiet laboratory, a cold vial of ancient bone powder, and a machine humming with algorithms powerful, enough to read the past letter by. Letter geneticists weren't hunting legends. They were simply trying to map humanity. But as they stitched together the Neanderthal genome and held it against our own, something impossible stared back. There were pieces of us that were not us, strands of ancient code, woven into modern DNA, a signature from another species, not a distant cousin, but a companion, someone we lived beside, argued with, hunted with, and yes, loved. At first, the world reacted with shock, because this meant something uncomfortable, something deeply human. We didn't evolve alone. We didn't replace everyone. We mingled, shared fires, shared fears, shared children, shared blood. The borders between species, the clean lines science once drew, suddenly blurred like paint in rainwater. And then came the twist even scientists didn't expect. Those ancient genes aren't just echoes. They are active. They affect our bodies, our survival, our destiny. High-altitude tolerance in Tibet, immune defenses in Europe, metabolic advantages in Southeast Asia. And that was only the beginning. Because the deeper researchers looked, the more unsettling the puzzle became. Some of this DNA didn't match Neanderthals, didn't match Denisovans, didn't match anything we knew existed. A ghost population of forgotten people, invisible in the earth, but undeniable in our genome. And their story was waiting to be uncovered. Imagine you're a scientist staring at a computer screen full of genetic code. Millions of letters, A's, T's, C's, and G's. You expect patterns, you expect ancestry, you expect the story you grew up learning. But instead, you find a ghost, not a myth, not folklore. Literal genetic fingerprint from a human species we have never seen. No skeleton, no cave paintings, no tools buried in ancient soil. Just a whisper etched into living. Blood. The discovery didn't come from dusting fossils or digging deserts. It came from scanning the living, from comparing DNA of modern people across continents. And suddenly, one population in particular held a secret older than history. West African genomes carried traces of a hominin we did not know existed. Not Neanderthal, not Denisovan. Something older, something deeper, something untouched by textbooks. Scientists called them a ghost. Lineage because they lived alongside our ancestors, yet left no bones to remember them by. Like a civilization erased, but somehow still speaking. And here's the part that feels almost supernatural. This wasn't a tiny accident in our DNA. It wasn't a glitch. It was intentional, inherited, selected, carried through thousands of generations. Because those genes helped someone survive, so picture it. Two groups of humans on the same soil, different faces, different instincts, but close enough to touch close, enough to care, close enough to shape each other forever. Didn't just share the world with other humans. We shared futures, fears, and children, and yet one of those worlds vanished without a trace. No bones, no voices, just fragments inside us. Reminders that our family tree is not a line, but a tangle of forgotten branches, and one branch was hiding right beneath our skin. Every discovery in science forces us to choose. Do we cling to the past we prefer, or face the truth that changes everything? For generations, we painted humanity as a straight line, a march of evolution, neat, tidy, triumphant. We were the endpoint, the final upgrade. But the genome didn't agree. It whispered a messier truth, a world where multiple human species existed together, not as rivals in some clean extinction timeline, but as neighbors, partners, companions, sometimes competitors, sometimes lovers. Suddenly, the question wasn't, did humans evolve here or there? It became something far more intimate. Who were we living beside? What did they look like? What did they feel, dream, fear, love? Imagine them, a face familiar yet strange, eyes like ours. But from a different beginning, hands calloused from stone tools crafted in silence far older than our history, intelligence carved by survival in ways we cannot yet imagine. And for tens of thousands of years, our ancestors didn't fear these people. They walked among them. They shared firelight. They traded stories without words. They raised children who carried two histories at once. And then, inexplicably, one lineage disappeared into dust, while the other, us, carried their memory in our cells. Not as myth, not as legend, but as living code. This isn't just science, it's ancestry, identity, and humility woven into DNA itself. Because when we learn that we are not the sole authors of humanity, we gain something extraordinary. The understanding that our story is bigger, older, and more intertwined than we ever imagined. And now we move deeper, beyond the discovery, into the forgotten world of the people who live inside us still. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a world before cities, before metal, before even language fully took shape. Africa, 300,000 years ago. Not one human species. But many. Our ancestors roamed the savannas, shaping stone, building fires, dreaming the first human dreams. But they were not alone. Across forests, deserts, ancient river corridors, another human walked. They were tall, broad-shouldered, intelligent. Their tools rivaled ours, their survival skills, brutal and refined by a harsher world. They weren't primitive shadows. They were a parallel humanity. And yet, when we search the earth today, we find nothing of them. No skull, no bone, no engraved tooth or scraped spear point. It's as if the earth swallowed them whole. So how do we know they lived? Because you don't leave footprints in soil. You leave them in people, inside millions of modern West Africans. The signature remains, a genetic handprint left by a species science had never seen. A species that lived, loved, fought, raised children, and disappeared. Archaeologists call them a ghost population, not because they were unreal, but because they are absent where they should be present. Their timeline, older than Neanderthals, older than Denisovans, a branch that split from ours nearly 1 million years ago. Yet thousands of years later, there they were, meeting us in the grasslands, crossing paths, exchanging life itself. There's something haunting about that. A people who shaped us, but left no face, no voice, no name. Only the quiet truth etched in DNA. They were real. They mattered. And we are here because they existed. We often imagine early humanity as a straight ladder, one species, then another, until we arrived glorious and final. Reality. It was never a ladder. It was a crowded tree. Picture the African continent in the Middle Pleistocene, not a cradle for one species, but a bustling neighborhood of humans. East Africa, our ancestors. South Africa, small-bodied, tree-climbing hominins. North Africa, transitional forms between ancient and modern. West Africa, the ghost lineage, powerful and intelligent, different faces, different bone shapes, different instincts and cultures. Not rivals, just different kinds of human, coexisting across a vast land. At night, fires burned in many places, not just ours. Different clans, different hands shaping stone, different eyes watching the stars and wondering. But eventually paths crossed. And when that moment came, evolution didn't choose violence, it chose connection. We didn't exterminate them, we didn't dominate them. We mixed. Two worlds met, And the result was a new chapter of humanity. Their children carried two lineages, two survival toolkits and one beating heart. Some genes faded, but some were too useful to lose. It means something profound. When our species walked into West Africa, we did not erase the past, we merged with it. So, the real story isn't that they vanished, it's that they became part of us. Evolution doesn't always kill the old to make the new. Sometimes it weaves them together, and the most haunting question remains. If they lived beside us for thousands of years, what else did they leave behind beyond DNA? A language? A mythology? A spark of thought that became part of ours? The truth isn't just genetic, it's human. History remembers conquerors and kingdoms. Bones, artifacts, monuments. These are the echoes of existence. But what if the greatest story of humanity is not written in stone, but in skin, blood, and memory? The Ghost Hominins didn't collapse in a single battle. There was no extinction event, no volcanic winter wiping them away, no fossil beds full of tragedy. Their end was quieter, more human, more intimate. Generation by generation, they blended into us. Their families joined ours, their children became our children. Their identity slowly dissolved into a larger one. They didn't vanish, they were absorbed into the human future. Think about that. They survived not through territory or dominance, but through legacy. But here's the haunting part. If they were so similar to us, why do we have zero physical trace? It challenges everything we assume about history. If entire human species can vanish without a bone, how much more have we never found? How much history is missing simply because time is a ruthless archivist? Maybe they lived in regions where fossils don't preserve. Maybe we simply haven't dug in the right places. Or maybe their remains are already in museums and drawers, mislabeled as unidentified early human, waiting for technology to catch up. Science has a name for this era, the muddle in the middle, a time of overlapping humanity, tangled bloodlines and shared horizons. It was not survival of the fittest, it was survival of the connected. And as their identity faded into ours, one truth crystallized. Humanity did not rise alone. We are not a single origin story. We are a mosaic, polished by time, bonded by shared struggle, sharpened by ancient love and ancient fear. The ghost people didn't die out. They walk in us, they speak in us, they are us. We often think of ancestry as stories told at dinner tables, old photographs, family names passed down. But there is an older inheritance, older than language, older than memory, older than fire. It lives beneath thought, beneath bone, beneath heartbeat. It lives in your DNA. When scientists first realized ghost hominin genes still exist in millions of people today, they expected relics, meaningless fragments, ancient junk code. But evolution doesn't keep junk for hundreds of thousands of years. These genes stayed for a reason. Some help regulate the immune system, some strengthen cellular repair, some influence metabolism, a biological advantage carved by a harsher world. In Tibetans, Denisovan DNA allows survival in thin air, where lungs should fail. In Southeast Asia, ancient genes shape resistance to tropical disease. In West Africa, ghost hominin genes include tumor-suppressing DNA, a genetic shield forged by an unforgiving climate and dangerous environment. These aren't fossils. They are tools, not bones in museums, but traits in living bodies. And here's the astonishing part. You don't see these genes. They don't shape faces or bodies in obvious ways. They aren't badges of ancient identity. They operate in silence, tiny guardians passed from mother to child, from father to son through war, famine, ice ages, and rebirth. Invisible, but powerful, forgotten but essential. So the next time someone speaks about pure human blood, remember, purity never built a survivor. We endure because we are mixed, layered, complex, forged through contact and cooperation. Your strength, your very existence, is proof that humanity did not rise by isolation, but by absorption, adaptation, and evolution shared across species. You don't carry ancient ghosts. You carry ancient strength. Not all inheritance is physical. Some is instinct, reflex, emotion carved by millions of years of survival. Think about fear. Why do shadows tug at our nerves? Why does a sudden sound in the dark spike our heartbeat? Why do we scan faces for intent before words are spoken? These impulses didn't come from empty wilderness. They came from living among others, human others. Clever, capable, unpredictable. For tens of thousands of years, our ancestors didn't explore a silent earth. They moved through a world full of watchers, other humans, other minds, other hands shaping stone in the night. Competition bred caution, contact bred curiosity, coexistence bred intelligence. Imagine early humans hearing footsteps. At the edge of torchlight, were they friend or stranger, human or other kind of human? A negotiation of instincts happened there. Fight, flee, or meet with open palms. In those moments, social intelligence evolved, empathy sharpened, suspicion refined, cooperation strengthened, our diplomacy, our ability to read eyes, judge trust, form alliances may be one of the greatest gifts those ghost lineages helped shape. And don't overlook imagination, the idea of spirits, ancestors, figures who lived before us and still walk among us. Maybe that too comes from a time when the world felt inhabited by beings like us, yet not us. A memory older than language, older than myth. A world where humans were never truly alone, and survival meant not just strength, but understanding. Adapting, blending. Our instincts aren't animal, they are ancestral. Forged in a crowded world of many human kinds, we inherited more than genes. We inherited awareness. Ancient presence still whispers in our decisions today. Imagine standing on a quiet plain at sunset, the sky glowing gold and fire red. The wind moves through tall grass, and beside you, not another animal, but another human. Different brow, different bone structure, different voice, shaped by a lineage older than yours. But eyes that understand hunger, fear, warmth, fire, hope. Two kinds of human, two histories, two futures, crossing in a moment neither will ever record, yet one that changes both forever. That moment happened countless times, not by accident, not by conquest, but by contact. We call them ghosts, only because we forgot them, not because they lacked flesh or language or love. They lived real lives. They raised children, they sang at night, they buried their dead. They carried dreams shaped by a world we will never know. And every time someone today laughs, breathes, bleeds, learns, persists through struggle, there is a chance that part of that resilience was born in a mind that will never have a fossil. A name or a place in textbooks. They are gone, but not dead, lost but not erased, silent, but still speaking through blood, through bone, through instincts that fire like ancient sparks in modern hearts. We are the final branch. Yes, but a branch woven from many roots. And perhaps the most humbling truth is this: when we imagine humans exploring distant planets, becoming the ancient species for someone new to discover, we will carry not just the story of Homo sapiens, but the story of every human who lived and loved before us. We are not the peak of humanity, we are the memory of it. Across millions of years, Earth was never a world of one human. It was a chorus, voices rising, fading, blending, evolving together. Some left bones, some left tools, some left fire-charred stones in caves forgotten by time, and some, the most mysterious of all, left only echoes inside us. You are not just one lineage, one history, one story. You are the final chapter of an ancient library written in muscle, instinct, emotion, resilience. A survivor shaped by those who didn't survive the way we think survival looks. A mosaic of the past, walking toward the future. So the next time you wonder who you are, remember, you are not just human. You are the last spark of many worlds, the living monument to lives that history never knew, but evolution never forgot, and that is a legacy greater than any empire ever built. If this journey made you see humanity differently, if it made you feel bigger, older, deeper than your own lifetime, hit subscribe and join us. Comment below, which ancient voice do you feel inside you? The warrior, the wanderer, the protector, the dreamer. And remember, We are the result of a million years of survival, struggle, and love. So live like it. Walk like you carry history. Because you do. Until next time, keep your fire burning.